So Donald Trump came on and made a speech about the coronavirus.
Everybody, thank you very much.
Now, he first opened up with,
Before I begin, I'd like to extend my deepest condolences to the victims and families in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Earlier today, a wicked murderer opened fire at a Molson Coors Brewing Company plant, taking the lives of 5 people. A number of people were wounded, some badly wounded. Our hearts break for them and their loved ones. We send our condolences. We'll be with them. And it's a terrible thing, terrible thing.
so he talked about the shooting that took place that probably not many people know about. But what caught my concern was on how he was so passive about this entire thing. Like, he really acted like the coronavirus isn't a big deal. Now, I want you to listen to this next part.
Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low. And we have the greatest experts in the world, really in the world, right here. The people that are called upon by other countries when things like this happen.
He's downplaying
We're ready to adapt, and we're ready to do whatever we have to as the disease spreads, if it spreads. As most of you know, the level that we've had in our country is very low, and those people are getting better, or we think that in almost all cases, the better are getting. We have a total of 15. We took in some from Japan. You heard about that 15. Because they're American citizens and they're in quarantine.
So Donald Trump says 15, right? But yet, look up here on the left. Total confirmed is 59. We haven't had anybody die yet, but look over here. 2 recovered, 1 recovered, 1 recovered. We do have some people healing. So we've had 6 actually recover. But so far, 59 confirmed cases. And let me show you something else. Okay, let's pay attention to the red dots here. Boston, just on the other side of the border of New York. Detroit, Chicago, Wisconsin. So this is a heat spot here, which is probably where it's going to break out. And then over here in California, San Francisco, around this area, it's going to break out. But notice it's on the border towns. So it's either going to, totally break out in California or break out in New York, and then it's kind of going to collapse on the U.S. is what's going to happen. But where's he getting 15 from? I don't understand this. So let's dig a bit deeper into this, okay? This article was written February 25th, which was yesterday. And notice what it says here. Trump spent the past 2 years slashing the government agencies responsible for handling the coronavirus outbreak. And as you scroll down and take a look at this, and you check out this information, we've got the smartest people, apparently, he says, looking into this problem, but he's over there cutting their programs. So this is kind of out in left field. Like, why didn't he say he was cutting this? And I'm sure that one woman standing there, and I'll get to her in a minute, she's probably biting her tongue because she works for the CDC. So he's cutting spending to the CDC that would help prevent the coronavirus in American people. He doesn't have the American people best health and interest. Even in this meeting, he talked about the stock market dropping. He talked about his points going up. I mean, he probably spent a half an hour talking about himself getting reelected. He was more concerned about money and more concerned about the stock market than he even seemed to understand this. So in this particular statement here, he says we were asking for $2 billion. But listen to this.
Asking for $2.5 billion, and we think that's a lot. But the Democrats and I guess Senator Schumer wants us to have much more than that. And normally in life, I'd say, we'll take it. We'll take it. If they want to give more, we'll do more. We're going to spend whatever's appropriate. Hopefully, we're not going to have to spend so much because we really think we've done a great job in keeping it down to a minimum. And again,
Why are we keeping this down to a minimum? This is a pandemic. It has killed thousands in China. This ain't making any sense to me. And if you look at her over here on the right, I mean, she's got a face of stone. It's got to be killing her. She must want to say, but you don't correct the president. I mean, she can't say there ain't 15 or 60. Yeah, she can't say that. This guy looks like, Pence over here. He looks like he's ready to fall asleep.
we've had tremendous success beyond what people would have thought. Now, at the same time, you do have some outbreaks in some countries. Italy and various countries are having some difficulty. China, you know about where it started. I spoke with President Xi. We had a great talk. He's working very hard.
And he just goes on and says, he's working with these different countries, which makes no sense to me.
To say he's working very, very hard. And if you can count on the reports coming out of China, that spread has gone down quite a bit. The infection seems to have gone down over the last 2 days.
Now, he did say, if you can count on the reports coming from China. So even the president knows those reports coming out of China are pure fucking bullshit.
As opposed to getting larger, it's actually gotten smaller. In one instance where we think it's somewhat reliable, it seems to have gotten quite a bit smaller. With respect to the money that's being negotiated, they can do whatever they want. I mean, we'll do the 2.5. We're requesting 2.5. Some Republicans would like us to get 4, and some Democrats would like us to get 8.5, and we'll be satisfied whatever it is. We're bringing in a specialist, very highly regarded specialist tomorrow, who works actually at the State Department. Very, very tremendously talented in doing this. I want you to understand something that shocked me when I saw it, that I spoke with Dr. Fauci on this, and I was really amazed, and I think most people are amazed to hear it. The flu in our country kills from 25,000 people to 69,000 people a year. That was shocking to me.
Now, wait a sec. That's shocking to him. Most of my friends know this. Why is this shocking to the president? Why is he so out of touch on what's going on with the world, with diseases and sicknesses and everything that's going on? He must live in this glass house and not know what's happening. I mean, he's acting like the flu is way worse than the coronavirus, but it's like he has his numbers mixed up. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let's consider this. The regular flu has a 0.01% fatality rate, okay? It's very small, 0.01%. And you heard the president himself say, well, 30 to 70,000 people every year die of the flu. Now, originally, they had thought this coronavirus had a 1 to 2% fatality rate. But this was just come out. The coronavirus estimated fatality rate appears to be risen to 3.4, but expert thinks it could drop. So it might drop down, right? So the new disease of the new coronavirus called COVID-19 appears to have a fatality rate of around 3.4. It used to be 2 to 2.3. As of Wednesday, based on the ratio of reported deaths to total cases worldwide, that's an uptick from the previous estimates. Yes, it is. From the Chinese Center of Disease Control and Prevention. The fatality rate was 2.3 before. Now they're saying it's 3.4. That's crazy. If you look over here, the population of the United States is 327 million. Well, you do your math on that, 3.4 to it. I mean, we're talking 6, 7, 8 million. But we got nothing to worry about. Jesus Christ. Now, I want you to listen to this next part on how he says we're checking people. And you notice he's constantly trying to make you feel good. That bad. Everything's okay. We got this under control.
What we've done is we've stopped non-U.S. citizens from coming into America from China. That was done very early on. We're screening people, and we have been at a very high level, screening people coming into the country from infected areas. We have in quarantine those infected and those at risk.
Okay, so we're checking people as they come in the country. If they're infected, we're going to put them in quarantine. Where's he getting his information? Let me show you this. Okay, so the president says, hey, we're checking them as they come in. If they got symptoms, we're going to put them in quarantine for 14 days and make sure they're all clear, right? Well, let's check with some scientists what they got to say. A person can carry and transmit COVID-19 without showing symptoms, scientists confirmed. This is confirmed, okay? Chinese researchers have confirmed a 20-year-old woman from Wuhan passed it to 5 of her family members, but never got sick, physically sick herself. She's a carrier. She never got sick. The case study is the first concrete evidence that the person showing no symptoms can pass the coronavirus to others. A fact that could make curbing the outbreak even more challenging. Oh, you think? Just a little bit? So, somebody can come right through the airport, you can test them, and they have no symptoms. They're a carrier. They don't get sick. And then they can pass it on to everybody. So what good is this little thermometer they're holding it up and hitting on people's foreheads? If they're not changing anything, then yes, expect an extensive breakout, a pandemic, to be coming down in the U.S. Oh my God. Now, this is really important if you listen to this. And watch her face over here, the CDC girl.
We're rapidly developing a vaccine, and they can speak to you. The professionals can speak to you about that. The vaccine is coming along well, and in speaking to the doctors, we think this.
We got a vaccine coming along well. Did you know that? You're completely safe. That's bullshit. Yes, they are trying to work on a vaccine. They are trying. But let me skip ahead and show you this part. Okay, let's listen to what this guy's got to say now.
Well, thank you, Mr. Vice President, and thank you, Mr. President, for gathering your public health experts here today and for your strong leadership in keeping America safe. And I just want to say I could not be more delighted that you've asked the Vice President, my old friend and colleague, to lead this whole of government approach with us under the Emergency Support Function number 8. As of today, we have 15 cases of COVID-19 that have been detected in the United States, with only one new case detected in the last 2 weeks. We also have 3 cases among Americans repatriated from Wuhan and 42 cases among Americans repatriated who had been stuck on the Diamond Princess in Japan. The president's early and decisive actions, including travel restrictions, have succeeded in buying us incredibly valuable time. This has helped us contain the spread of the virus, handle the cases that we have, and prepare for the possibility that we will need to mitigate broader spread of infections within the United States. The president's actions, taken with the strong support of his scientific advisors, have proven to be appropriate, wise, and well calibrated to the situation. We're grateful for the hard work that healthcare workers, first responders, communities, and state and local leaders have put into the response so far. Because of this hard work and the president's leadership, the immediate risk to the American public has been and continues to be low. Our containment strategy has been working. At the same time, what every one of our experts and leaders have been saying for more than a month now remains true. The degree of risk has the potential to change quickly, and we can expect to see more cases in the United States.
Did you catch that? We expect to see more cases in the United States. But Donald Trump acted like, we got this there. No, not many more are going to come. They contradicted each other there.
That is why we've been reminding the American public and our state, local, and private sector partners that they should be aware of what a broader response would look like. CDC has recommended that the American public, and especially state and local governments, businesses, and other organizations, should refresh themselves on how they would respond in the event that the situation worsens. We're encouraging Americans to learn what future steps might be necessary to keep themselves and their communities safe. Knowing these potential steps now can help keep the risk to you and your community low. Americans can find useful information at cdc.gov/COVID-19. And we're working closely with government and private sector partners to educate them about preparedness. Finally, we've begun working with Congress to secure the funding that we need. There are 5 major priorities in the White House request to Congress.
Now here it comes.
That the White House made on Monday. These priorities are: first, expanding our surveillance network; second, support for state and local governments work; third and fourth, development of therapeutics and vaccines; and fifth, manufacturing and purchase of personal protective equipment like gowns and masks. As chairman.
So what does that mean? We got a shortage of gowns and masks even in our small communities and our towns and our hospitals? Because that's how I'm taking this.
The President's Coronavirus Task Force, I'm committed to providing regular updates from our coordinated interagency process. We've had our top public health leaders, like those joining me here today, speaking to the media many times per day to inform the American public. The Trump administration is going to continue to be aggressively transparent, keeping the American people and the media apprised of the situation and what everyone can do. With that, I'm going to hand things over to Dr. Ann Schuchat. Dr. Schuchat is the senior career official at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, the principal deputy director, with an over 30-year career at the CDC in public health and as a member of the United States Public Health Service Commission Corps. So, Dr. Schuchat, I'll turn it over to you.
Now, that guy just seems he likes to have his face on camera. But this girl, the one who works for the CDC, she seems to know what she's talking about. She's got the goods, man.
Thanks so much, Mr. Secretary. As you know, this has been a difficult and challenging time, and our hearts go out to the individuals who have been directly affected by the virus and to all those who have been working tirelessly in responding to it. Our aggressive containment strategy here in the United States has been working and is responsible for the low levels of cases that we have so far. However, we do expect more cases.
So, they do expect more cases. And like I already showed you, if one of those people is a carrier, this could blow right up.
And this is a good time to prepare.
So you need to prepare right now. You need to start thinking about where you're going.
As you heard, it's the perfect time for businesses, healthcare systems, universities, and schools to look at their pandemic preparedness plans, dust them off, and make sure that they're ready. And we have lots more information at the CDC's website and in partnership on how to do that. But it's also a really good time for the American public to prepare and for you to know what this means for you. The coronavirus that we're talking about is a respiratory virus. It's spread in a similar way to the common cold or to influenza. It's spread through coughs and sneezes. And so those everyday sensible measures that we tell people to do every year with the flu are important here. Covering your cough, staying home when you're sick, and washing your hands. Tried and true, not very exciting measures, but really important ways that you can prevent the spread of respiratory viruses. So the trajectory of what we're looking at over the weeks and months ahead is very uncertain, but many of the steps that we have taken over the past 15 years to prepare for pandemic influenza and our experience going through the 2009 H1N1 pandemic of influenza remind us of the kinds of steps that our healthcare system, our businesses, our communities and schools may need to take. We're in this together, all of government, the public and the private sector, and the CDC wants to make sure you have the best information available every day. Thank you.
Please. I just want to give you a very quick update on the
Now, this guy's going to give you an update on when you're going to have a vaccine and when you're going to be completely protected and safe.
My name is Dr. Tony Fauci. I'm the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases at NIH. Just a very quick update on the countermeasure development in the form of vaccines and therapeutics. I had told this audience at a recent press briefing that we have a number of vaccine candidates and one prototype one to give you a feel for the time frame of a vaccine and what its impact might be now and in subsequent years. Is that I told you we would have a vaccine that we would be putting into trials to see if it's safe and if it induces a response that you would predict would be protective in about 3 months. I think it's going to be a little bit less than that. It's probably going to be closer to 2 months. That would then take about 3 months to determine if it's safe and immunogenic, which gives us 6 months. Then you graduate from a trial, which is phase 1 of 45 people, to a trial that involves hundreds, if not low thousands of people to determine efficacy. At the earliest, an efficacy trial would take an additional 6 to 8 months. So although this is the fastest we have ever gone from a sequence of a virus to a trial, it still would not be any applicable to the epidemic unless we really wait about a year to a year and a half. Now, that means 2 things. One, the answer to containing is public health measures. We can't rely on a vaccine over the next several months to a year. However, if this virus, which we have every reason to believe it is quite conceivable that it will happen, will go beyond just a season and come back and recycle next year. If that's the case, we hope to have a vaccine. And then finally and briefly, therapeutics. There are a number of antiviral drugs that are being tested. A few days ago, we initiated a randomized controlled trial of a drug called remdesivir, which has antiviral activity in vitro in an animal model. The good news about that is that it's a trial that's randomized to either placebo or standard of care and drug and standard of care, which means that we will know reasonably soon whether it works. And if it does, we will then have an effective therapy to distribute. Thank you.
So he just told you you got a year and a half to go where they might have a cure. And then the question is, when they start handing out these like flu shots, are you going to be the first one to line up and say, yeah, give me a shot? When they really haven't really done that much testing to figure out what's going to happen to people? And why are they pushing so hard to get a cure if it's just like the flu? It's not a big deal, right? This is major. We've got carriers. Donald Trump is playing it off like it's the flu. It's not the flu, okay? This thing is dangerous when it hits the respiratory system. And if anybody's ever had pneumonia, well, picture ammonia 10 times worse. And this is a very painful way to go. Government is going crazy. Donald Trump doesn't have a clue what's going on. He's handed it off to Pence, and Pence has handed it off to other people. And Donald Trump, I mean, he looks like the nice guy if something goes wrong or a million people die because he can blame it on Pence. Maybe he's playing it smart. This guy's like Dr. Jekyll, and he's looking for a so-called cure, and who knows how many animals or how many people is going to be sacrificed by the time they get there. She seems to know what she's doing, so definitely go to the CDC website. But to be quite honest with you, I would stay away from crowds. I wouldn't be going to theaters. I would carry plastic gloves on you. When you go to the bathroom, put a pair on. Go to the bathroom. I wouldn't even really wash my hands in the bathroom. When I come out of the bathroom and exiting the building, I would remove my gloves, and then I would wash my hands with one of those antibacterial, those little things you carry to wash your hands with. But if all possible, try to stay away from crowds because, like they said, you catch it by somebody coughing or somebody else's sick, human contact. So just like I stated, the person could be a human carrier and not even cough, because if that person wasn't sick at all and they're a human carrier, how did they give it to the other ones? By touch, by hug, by... There's so much about this coronavirus people don't know about, and you're basically on your own. You basically have to use your own head and think about, what are you going to do to protect yourself? Personally, I don't believe anything Trump's saying. He spent over half an hour talking about the stock market. He was more concerned about the stock dropping because of this coronavirus. He didn't talk about cutting the CDC money. All of a sudden, now CDC's getting some money. I mean, I see a bunch of people running around with a chicken, like a chicken with his head cut off. I mean, that's what I'm seeing. And probably the CDC is telling Trump, look, this is going to blow up into 1,000 people if we don't watch what's going on. And he looks like he's doing the bare minimum. So this is about to blow up. Now, if he gets lucky and they do get it under control, but look what this guy said. It could come back next year. It could come back the year after. If they don't find a cure for this, the chances of you getting it are high, especially if you're in large crowds. So right now, I guess what most people are doing is we're postponing time for the next 2 years, trying not to get in the crowds, hoping somebody comes up with a cure. Unless you want to risk it and catch it and live through it, then of course you would have built up the antibodies. But this is extremely serious, and the government is downplaying it. Now you hear a lot of guys talk on YouTube and they'll say, oh, I don't want to do any fear mongering. Bullshit. This is serious. I ain't going in big crowds. No fucking way. You want to play with death? Knock yourself out. But from what I'm seeing, I see a bunch of people shooting a bunch of bullshit and nobody's telling the damn truth. It's like they're downplaying anything. You be the judge. Okay, check this out. This just in. The Trump administration says the coronavirus vaccine might not be affordable for all Americans. They act like they have this vaccine already, when meanwhile they don't. Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar on Wednesday declined to promise that the coronavirus vaccine would be affordable for all Americans. On Monday, the president asked Congress for $2.5 billion funding the fight the coronavirus. More than $1 billion of that funding will be designated to a vaccine. So, they got $1 billion going toward the vaccine. Ain't gonna matter for us poor guys. We'd want to ensure that we would work to make it affordable, but we can't control the price because we need the private sector to invest. Azar told members of Congress during a hearing concerning the coronavirus outbreak administration budget request. Pricing controls won't get us there. So, hey, if this guy comes up, with a vaccine, that's a good way to knock off the poor people, ain't it? Just wait until they catch the coronavirus and bye-bye. Amazing. It's almost like it's looking like all this stuff is orchestrated just to knock off the elderly and the poor. Anyhow, catch you guys on the next one.